Hello,
Happy Anaridia Day.
and happy Father's Day.
I'm Abby.
And I'm Bernie. And today we are going to talk about some of the things which we find help us with our eye condition and everyday life.
So, should I start with my contact lenses?
Yeah.
So when I go out, I use sunglasses, but I also have contact lenses which have a iris on them.
The contact lenses help to cut the amount of light coming into your eyes and so makes everything slightly less overexposed.
Yeah.
Because we all know that the brightness is the main killer when it comes to aniridia, and even when it's quite a quiet, cloudy day, sometimes they can be too bright even without the sunshine. So having some way of getting rid of that is really helpful. One of the things which I find really useful, and actually I seem to use more and more these days, is my phone. So I've got lots of apps on there, things like Seeing AI. So with Seeing AI, I can take a photograph of some text and it will read the text back to me. I can tell colours with it, and it will even read handwriting and product codes, barcodes on products. So if I get something out of the freezer, I can take a photograph of the barcode and it will tell me what's inside, and in some circumstances it will tell me the instructions, so
And
I do find that very useful.
And she uses it to do light detection.
Oh yeah.
So you know if a light's been left on in the house or not.
So Abby's got a little bit of vision. I don't have any at all. So sometimes I go to bed and don't realise that the house looks like a lighthouse, and so actually the light detector is very, very handy.
So I use a cane to get around, although I'm on the guide dog list, so fingers crossed it's not too long now. But yeah, I use a long white cane. I like to put dinosaur stickers on it as well, which I think looks quite cool.
Yes, I think any jazzing up of sticks is to be encouraged.
I prefer the roller tip, but I currently have a marshmallow tip, but I will go back to a roller.
The big roller tips are actually really handy on rough ground. So if your pavements are not too smooth, or if you live in the country and you're sort of travelling along quite bumpy, humpy roads, the big ones are quite useful for that kind of thing.
You don't get as many stomach bruises from the cane, snagging.
Yeah. I have a guide dog called Ashley at the moment. He's my second guide dog. I have to say that having a guide dog has completely changed my life, and that sounds really cheesy, but it's true. Just not just the mobility that the dog gives, but also the social opportunities and the fact that people actually come up and talk to you, the sort of human interaction that it gives you, the companionship and that unconditional love that they give you is quite incredible. And I have to say that more people came and spoke to me in the 3 months that I had my first dog, Orla, than ever spoke to me in the 10 years that I used a long cane. And people could be really rude and quite inconsiderate of me using a white cane, though I thought I was actually a very good white cane user. But actually, having a dog, it brings out lovely conversations with people. People are always happy to come and help and ask you, if you need anything. Ashley's 10 now, and he's actually working because of COVID-19 slightly beyond his retirement age now. So he's going to be retiring shortly, so I will be back on the list. So we could find that we are both handling very young, bouncy doggies all at the same time, and it's going to be a bit of a car crash of chewed socks and chaos in the house soon. And something else, just in thinking, that Abby uses is flowered lanyard, which could be really handy if you've got a disability where it's not so obvious. For me, with the guide dog, it's quite clear that I've got a big, enormous guide dog. You can see it from all angles. But sometimes some people don't necessarily want to use a cane all the time. So there are these lanyards with pretty sunflowers on them, and they have been designed to just wear around your neck, just to indicate that you might have a hidden disability. So it could be any kind of disability. It doesn't have to be sight loss, but it means that other people can instantly see that you might need a little bit more help and might approach you and actually ask.
And actually, I even use it with my cane as well and find it useful.
Something else which I find really handy is I have a colour detector. So here's the colour detector, and here's a pillow, and
dark blue,
there we go.
dark blue,
That's quite handy. Or me,
light blue, orange,
and Abby is...
orange,
she's orange too. So it's a little gadget which we can show you in a little while. And basically you just put it on an item of clothing and it will tell you what colour it is. And I find that really handy in matching up my clothes and just seeing what colours things are, you know, without having to ask somebody all the time. So just a couple of other things that I wish to mention is that we use Alexa quite a lot for playing games and getting recipes, telling the time, listening to the radio, getting all sorts of information. So she's really handy because you don't have to run around the room trying to find something to press or fiddle with. So Alexa's actually really great in that respect. Alexa, find me a recipe for chocolate cake.
Okay, for chocolate cake, I recommend Ultimate Chocolate Cake. 2 hours, 10 minutes to make. Serves 14. What would you like? Start recipe. Send it to your phone, or hear next recipe.
Talking scales are fantastically helpful for measuring the dog food and making cakes and bread and all kinds of things. I really do enjoy using those because they're such a simple aid just to make life a little bit easier in the kitchen. So talking scales are really useful and I use them to measure the dog food for my guide dog food and to measure if I'm making a cake or some bread or things like that. So I'm going to just put some sugar in here. So this is not a very healthy cake. Okay, I think we want 120 grams. Oh, we're so close. Also, if you're measuring water, you can still do that on the scales. You don't necessarily need a talking jug or anything like that, because if you measure something in grams, so 100 grams of water will be 100 millilitres of water. So if I'm doing a recipe where it involves adding some fluid, that's a really simple way of getting around the problem.
Hashtag
Anaridia Day.